coming from the black community. Literally, America is crumbling to pieces, and you have barely heard a peep from black people. And I actually find it extremely surprising that people actually expect black people to feel sorry or feel some type of sympathy for the downfall of America. After everything that America has put us through, do you really think that we're all in silence sitting back thinking about now we can fix this shit and we can bring things back to the way they were? No and no. We do not want things to go back to the way they were. And you know what's crazy? I think a lot of people mistake this silence that's coming from the black community as a lack of awareness, as if maybe we don't know what's going on. You might see us dancing and having fun and playing around and shit still, and you might think, these niggas just don't take shit seriously. But I'll tell you what, at a certain point, niggas will stop dancing, niggas will stop singing, niggas will stop going along to get along. But we know America far too well.
Basically, a valid point to make about the whole King thing. Here's a question that I saw, did not realize until it hit the news a lot, was that it was very white. What do you make of that? That the guy in Baltimore, the paper there said, we struggled to, our photographer, to find a picture of black people in this march. I'm okay with that. I didn't go, and I feel like, well, you talk.
Well, we had a meeting.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
And let's just say it didn't go too well for white folks, that's all.
Okay, I think I figured out why Harmony and people is calling black Americans cowards and carrying on because we not out there in the streets. They thought that we had no self-control. That's what they thought. They thought that when we was doing all that stuff, like in 2020 and Ferguson and Baltimore and stuff like that, and LA riots and stuff like that, it was just because we, they were so easily provoked that as soon as somebody do something to one of us, we don't have any strategy, we don't have any type of thought process. We just go like an attack dog. They thought that we had no self-control, and us deciding to sit out and being all on one accord and being strategic and not reacting is showing a level of self-control that they did not realize that we had. They thought they didn't know about us. They thought that we are messing up their perception of us. They are having a crisis about our identity, about Black Americans' identity. Everybody is. Immigrants are having a crisis about our identity. White folks is having a crisis about our identity. They thought that they could count on us. They thought they knew us. And they never knew us because they didn't know our motivations. They didn't know what we were doing. They just saw the effects and they heard what the media said and they took it and ran with it. So even the people that was like, oh, we support you, this and that, the other thing, they thought that we were, justified, but they also thought we were uncontrollable. Because that's why they'd be like, be peaceful when you go out there. I know you got to go out there, but do it like this. Like, they think they treat us like we're children, like we are feral, unruly children. And now that we are showing them that we was doing the whole time. But now that we are showing them now, we're good. You go ahead and do that. They can't handle it. They can't handle it because it's messing up what they thought they knew about Black Americans. This whole year has been a mind fuck for them. Between us sitting out, between us delineating, we're really showing them in real time who we are. But we always knew, what they say, if you don't know, now you know.
Black people are still resting, and they're gonna be resting for quite some time, okay? Because I don't think y'all understand the severity. Like, I think that there's some people out here that think that Black people are playing and that we'll eventually get over this and we'll get back to work. No. We will get back to work in our community. Black Americans will be okay because we put in the work. It's the rest of the people of color groups that have not put in the work because they came to this country with rights that Black Americans fought and bled and died for. So when Black people say that we are resting, that is what we mean. It is not just this election. It is not just this. It is a culmination of so many disappointments from our existence on this stolen land. Okay? Because let's be clear. America is a stolen land built by stolen people. At the end of the day, that is what America is. Black Americans decided that they wanted to make something out of nothing. And that is what we have done for hundreds of years. And have literally laid a table together for everybody to be equitable.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from whatever you're watching me from. Now, there's this belief that Black people are the ones who should be complaining about the cost of living and everything, because we all know that this is hitting everyone, right? But the most diabolical question that still leaves white people unanswered is the fact that Black people are not bothered. Rather, Black people are so much silent by everything which is going on. Now, this is what I'm going to say. You see, white people panicking after noticing that Black Americans are not bothered by the rising cost of living. Because this, first, it disrupts the assumption that economic crisis will hit the Black people the hardest and provoke the most visible fear. But instead, Black people have shown a remarkable ability to adapt, to survive, and navigate hardship due to centuries of structural disadvantages. You see, a person who has gone through difficulties, throw them anything, I tell you as a matter of fact, they'll go through it, and that's Black people. Because the Black people have been structurally disadvantaged, and this has made them to become so much resilient. Right? It's called, they have mutated. Yeah, Black people have mutated. And they have mutated in a positive way, because throw a problem to a Black person and I promise you, they'll come and find the best solution possible out of it. And this is not white people. This is something that white people are not used to. And why are they not used to? They are not used to this because they were not structurally disadvantaged. It means that they were not mutated to the conditions or to the problems of the United States. You see, there's this big flag that is in the United States, and that flag has one color. And do you know the color of the United States, the flag of the United States? The color is called disillusionment. That's the color of the United States. But guess what? White people were not used to this. And now it became a problem to them because they have to find ways of surviving. They have to find ways of maneuvering all these difficult things. But for Black people, it's not like they're not going through this. Of course, they are going through it. But they were structurally disadvantaged. And this is something that made them resilient. And so we see white people asking themselves, why are Black people acting like they're not bothered? But we are going through all these. And in fact, they're the ones who are affected so much as compared to any other group. So brothers and sisters, stay tuned as I'm going to break to you down why this is happening. And so I'm your host and presenter, THEYAint Stories. And if you know you're watching it for the first time, I'm just asking you to please, subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to what I can offer you. But until then, let's get into it. I'll be back with my thoughts in regards to this. This video is for educational purposes only. So let's watch the video. I'll be back.
Okay? Equitable. All we want is equity, not revenge, not a leg up in the world, but equity across the board. And because America said that that's not what she wants, everybody is going to have to reap what they sow. Black people have been sowing seeds of equity, civil rights movements, voting rights movements. We have been sowing good seeds. So over the next 4 to 8 or however many years, Black Americans are going to be okay. It's all the other groups that we were worried about. But y'all let us know y'all not worried about yourselves, so we can't. Can we talk? It's been a while. I know. But Black women, we're still resting. Yep. Black people as a whole, we are tightening up our ship.
Black people as a whole, we are building community amongst each other. Everything else around us is just a distraction at this point, because we warned, we shared information, infographics, data, and statistics of what might happen. And clearly, people did not believe that fat meat is greasy. And that video that I just shared was a couple of days after the election, after I had gotten all the tears out, after I had cried it out, after I had prayed it out, all the things. And I said, this was different because the levee of trust broke all the way, right? Black people have lived in a certain, Black Americans, the descendants of the enslaved, have lived on this stolen land for quite some time, and we understand patterns. We understand when the shift in the atmosphere changes, and we move accordingly. And what we're seeing is we have conditioned ourselves to do that. We have conditioned ourselves to pivot when the temperature changes. And a lot of people now are seeing the temperature change, not just feel it, but see it in real time, and they don't know how to react, and they don't know how to deal. So anybody that is getting on this app trying to tell Black women to do anything, trying to tell the 80% of Black American men to do anything right now other than do what we've been doing the past 10, 11, almost 12 months, you're part of the problem, not the solution. I hate to say it, but some of us ain't gonna make it because we too busy trying to argue with stupid. We too busy trying to argue with stupid. And I just refuse. This is your friendly reminder. We know how we got here. Our rest is important. How we mobilize look different. A lot of the revolution will not be televised. And that's why a lot of folks is mad, because they don't know what we doing and it scares them. Okay? So while you all are building out your community, while you are tightening up the ship, whether you all are saving more money, because when I tell you, I get annoyed when I have to spend any amount of money because I have gotten so, like, you know, I work hard for my money, and I'm not just about to give it to anybody or anything, because it's apparent y'all don't care about my money. Y'all care about my money, but y'all don't care about me, and that's a problem. You know, it's some places I don't go no more. It's some people I don't see anymore, because at the end of the day, we have got to guard our gates. We have got to guard our peace. We have got to guard our energy, because the more chaos ensues, the more dangerous people get. The more, you know, people do stuff because they just can't pinpoint what Negroes is doing, and they mad about it. So at the end of the day, make sure that you are moisturizing. SPF is necessary for us. Drink your 6 to 8 glasses of water or more. Make sure that you are getting in the gym. As I talk to you, I'm talking to myself, because we in for a long ride, but it is nothing that our ancestors have not done that we cannot do again and better, to make sure that when we come on the other side of this, we don't have to, this can literally just be a lesson. But this is a hard lesson because now everybody is learning it, because y'all just didn't want to believe Black people who have been oppressed in this land for quite some time. Yep, slavery is ended, but like systemic racism is everywhere. And now y'all are figuring out that racism, classism, otherism, is all on the same boat now. So, you know, y'all be well.
The day after the election, when Kamala Harris lost, us Black people told y'all we was going to the sideline, that we was sick of all this bullshit, that we was just gonna focus on us Black people, our community, and our businesses. We told y'all that the day after she lost. Once we saw them exit polls and saw who turned their back on who and who didn't vote for who, we knew we was out the game. So why y'all surprised? Why I'm keep saying all this, where's Kamala? Where's the Black people at? And all this nonsense. We fought so hard during the election time to get Kamala Harris elected, it took so much out of us. Do you know how I felt the day after she lost? It's like everything was ripped out of me. Everything. I was sad. I was hurt. I was depressed. All these hours I put on this social media trying to convince black people and Latinos that Trump was bad for them and what Kamala Harris was going to do for them, and they still voted for Trump. That took a whole lot out of me. So I know it wasn't just me. I know it was a lot of us. And we said we going to sit on the sidelines and just watch what happened. So why are y'all?
Black people have been literally begging this country and all of its citizens to see us wholly, to hear us fully since the beginning of time. The struggle to be seen and respected in this country is so intrinsically woven throughout the fabric of who we are. It's motivating and inspiring, but somewhat depressing. If you think about how much it's affected the black culture, from our music to artists like Nina Simone, all the way to Ice Cube, Public Enemy, Tupac, Kendrick Lamar, Curtis Mayfield, have spoken about our struggle and seeing us.
And I thought it was the UK that was on its arse. Seems like these Americans are really fucking struggling with the cost of living crisis. Check this video out. Tell me it don't break your heart. How can someone earning $80,000 a year be struggling to live? This is fucked.
And we are literally the brokest we've ever been. Brokest we've ever been.
But I'm making the most money I ever had my entire life. My husband and I, between the two of us, gross, make like over $80,000 a year. And if you told me a few years ago that $80,000 a year was not going to be enough for a family of four.
I make more than what I made back in 2015. But I am still literally living paycheck to paycheck.
I have to work 60 hours a week and make $80,000 a year to make ends meet. That's insane. I can't even begin to wrap my head around it.
Financially, I don't understand anymore. I don't understand how I make $34 an hour and I can't function. I can't function. I can't pay my bills.
I am trying to get real with myself and with other white people, and it is painful work. There's a whole lot of blame toward black people for being the cause of how white people treat them, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. I decided to take a closer look at slavery, since that's such a big topic in the United States. There has been slavery all over the world forever, and all colors of people have enslaved other colors of people for as long as we know about. But the transatlantic slave trade, in which Europeans brought African and Caribbean black people to the United States to be free labor in the new colonies before they were really the United States, is a whole different story of slavery. Slavery historically had to do with who won and who lost a war, who was convenient, who stumbled by at the wrong time, and so it wasn't specifically race-based. So why did these white Europeans choose black people to enslave? Because their physical differences from whites made it easier to create lies that they were biologically inferior. They invented science to defend this. It was easier to make these people who looked so different from us less human. And that lie made it easier to justify torture, rape, family separation, and death on a massive scale. And it made them, quite frankly, easier to identify if they tried to escape. The legacy didn't disappear when slavery ended. Eugenics came along and fed the racial superiority notion of whiteness, and it influenced the Nazi narrative along with the racial one. It carried over into segregation, Jim Crow, housing, policing, incarceration, education, all of that. If we're ever going to fix what's broken, we need to get curious enough to name how it got broken in the first place. White people need to get curious so we can say no more, not on my watch.
The only reason that white people in the United States or anywhere we are, in Europe, in Africa, in Australia, in Israel, wherever we are the colonizers. We are the colonizers. And we live off the expense of the assault, Europe's assault on Africa, the kidnapping of African human beings, the trafficking, all of these things that we hear today. This is where it came from. Hundreds of years of assaulting and stealing everything that African people and Africa as a continent had and putting it into the hands of white people. And so this is why, as the chairman has said, the true class struggle, the true working class in the world is the African and colonized working class, not white people, because all white people, and you know this is true. You and I know this is true by just living our lives and seeing it. All white people sit on the pedestal on the backs of African and indigenous people. And, you know, the statistics are that even poor white people have an easier ability in a crisis to raise $3,000 in an emergency than middle-class African people do. Because we live in social wealth. We live with the wealth surrounding.
Why can't white people just leave black people alone? People watch my videos on social media talking about anti-racism, talking about reparations, and they can't control themselves. They have to comment and tell me, I disagree. I don't agree with what you're saying. That's ridiculous. That's stupid.
Because it is ridiculous and stupid. Or maybe I'm saying that because I'm white. See, I've been told so many times that I talk white and that I think like white people, even though I don't understand what that means. But I'm starting to believe that, oh my God, that I am white. But is this you?
White people, do this on Juneteenth. How do you celebrate Juneteenth as a white? Every white person needs to watch this. 3 ways white allies cause unintentional harm. 3 ways that white allies cause unintentional harm during conflict. Here are 3 ways that white allies cause unintentional harm. White supremacy makes white people stupid.
I mean, what? I didn't even have to scroll far because I ain't got time for that. And I still found those videos. Like, how do you dedicate all your social media platform to talking about white people and then expect white people not to react, not to comment, not to disagree? It's not making sense. It's just like me dedicating my whole social media platform to talking about Asians and then expect Asians to keep quiet and not react and not comment and not disagree, and then come online, cry about it, and say, why can't Asians leave me alone? Why can't Asians leave Africans alone? Leave black people alone? See how that sounds? It's not making any sense whatsoever. You know what you're doing when you say things that you say and target one specific group of people. Obviously, TikTok loves drama and controversial things, and they would help you spread it out to people's For You page. So you can't come online and start crying victim. It doesn't work that way. If you can't take the heat, then stay out of the kitchen. If you can't take it, then don't dish it out. Common sense, I promise, it's just common sense.
13,000 views and only 200 likes is telling me that the video that I just posted about calling out white racists hit the right audiences. We love to see it. Oh, we love to see it. We love to see it. Now, some of you may be asking, Danielle, how do I truly become a white ally? I hate racism just as much as you do. How do I hold white people accountable? I'm glad you asked. The biggest thing, in my personal opinion, is voting in the interests of black people, right? Let's say you're somebody who votes in every presidential election. May I ask, do you vote for your local and state elections? That's really important. But also, too, are we paying attention to what local and state officials are saying and doing, or just saying, right? This is really important for the majority, which is white people still. Thank God for that, right? To hold people accountable, okay? So I want you to be voting in the interest of black people. Start asking questions when you go to your local town halls, right? What are you doing, or what bills are you supporting that support the advancement of black people? In my opinion, this is the best place to start. Also, too, when you notice workplace discrimination, or when you notice that your one or two or however many people work in your company, those black people, when they get noticeably uncomfortable in certain situations where certain words are thrown around in the break room or whatever, I want you to go to HR and just express concern. Just express concern, not about the black person and their uncomfortability, but what you also hear that makes them uncomfortable. That is also very important, in my personal opinion. We need allies in our day-to-day experiences, okay? If you're seeing a black person be mistreated, I want you to act as the shield, if you will, okay, between the injustice and that black person. I don't want you to put yourself in harm's way. Don't hear what I didn't say, okay? But I do want you to just start paying more attention to people who have many less privileges than you. Much less privileges, you know what I mean. Point is, do your due diligence, okay? Because I guarantee you, if you start speaking up, the world will change and be better for it. God bless you.
Family, please listen to something that Donald Trump said in regards to our National History, African American Museum and History and Culture in D.C. You know that he is removing many of the artifacts out of there, return them to their owners, because he says museums in our nation's capital should be places where individuals go to learn, not to be subjected to ideological indoctrination or divisive narratives that distort our shared history. First of all, that is such ignorance. So you're saying that you want to remove what really happened in American history because it's divisive, but yet you all had a problem when we were telling you all you need to remove the Confederate flags, remove these Confederate statues because they were divisive. You know, when I first saw this, that what the president and many of his racist cohorts are trying to do, they're trying to erase us. We know that. And at first I got angry and then I got nervous, but then I got quiet. And I said, you know what? God is not going to allow this. Black people will never be erased, and more so our ancestors won't. See, white people, I'm explaining something to you all, especially you racist white folk. God has given you all ample enough time to turn away and repent from your evil, wicked ways, and also to repent on behalf of your ancestors. But you still refuse to do it, and you still sit in your white evangelical nationalist churches and preach this God of love. But yet you want to erase history. If your history is so bad and you are so good now, why can't you teach that, hey, this is what we used to be. This is how we used to treat blacks. This is how we used to treat Native Americans. This is how we used to treat Jews. But now we have learned. You know why you can't do that? Because you have not learned. You haven't. I'm telling you, white folk, your day of reckoning is coming. But it's not coming from where you think. See, our ancestors have been quiet in their graves. They have been quiet. And see, many of you all, you don't believe in all of that, but I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you what I know. You keep removing our artifacts. Removing our artifacts from this museum is like troubling a cemetery. And I'm telling you now, God is not pleased and the ancestors are not pleased. See, we battle a spiritual war, right? So you can sit up here all day long and read your Bibles and quote your little verses while you sit in your white churches, drive your little Harley Davidson gang to your white churches while you sit in the pews drinking your coffee and looking so smug and arrogant. But when judgment starts falling on your home and on your church and on your people, don't look at us. Because God said, I've given these people enough time, and they still have not repented for the sins of their forefathers. And for that, judgment must come. So black folk, this is a little troubling that they're going to remove stuff, but hey, we're not attached to things, right? It doesn't matter. Because you can take away artifacts, you can do whatever you want, but you can never take away the sincerity, the passion, the vigor, the brilliance of our people. And you damn sure not going to stop our next generation. Racist white folk, watch yourself. You are sinners in the hands of an angry God, and he is not pleased with you.
Hi, Jules. Thank you so much for your comment. I wanted to obviously say thank you, but I also wanted to add on to your points because I think you made a really great comment. I think it's really terrifying how my mental health has been weaponized, and how now apparently I'm spiraling and I'm having a mental health episode and everything is bad and this is that. I'm actually perfectly normal. I worked a shift today. I just fed my cat. I'm packing for my move. I'm about to go smoke a L. Like it's not giving spiraling. People who are spiraling, they don't speak coherently. People who are spiraling can't go and work a whole shift normally and not get sent home. Like what? You will never silence me. You will never silence me. I don't care if I'm making you uncomfortable. I don't care if I'm talking about something that you think I shouldn't be talking about. I think people forget that I have agency over my own body. I make the choices. What? And I don't think that people see how racist it is to make it seem as if I'm going crazy instead of thinking to themselves, maybe this person is just expressing themselves. Like that is like, do people not, like, they don't get that, they don't make that connection. It's like, instead of you thinking to yourself, oh, maybe this person just expressing themselves, maybe I don't agree with them, but like they're expressing themselves, you instead think to yourself, this person is spiraling. Y'all need help. Not you, Jules, but these other people, they need help.
White women in black spaces scare me because I can't tell if you learned from Master or you raised him. So with that being said, why are you here? Why are you there? Is it because that some black people think that whiteness equals rightness? And because you're so insecure, how does insecurity work? You know. Because if whiteness versus rightness had a Richter scale in your community, you would be in hell. Even though you tote that biracial baby around like it's a handbag from Marshall's, maybe Michael Kors, you're still not black. You want to be white, but they don't accept you. You just so happen to not be blonde or skinny, so you're fucked. So you show up in black spaces where they think whiteness is the savior. And y'all insecurity matches energetically. They, because they think that they should adopt whiteness, and you, because you know that all you have to do is be white to show up and you have a space. But I'm still scared. And I think other people should be too. Okay.
You see, many white Americans build their sense of security on belief that no matter how tough life will become, someone else, historically that's black people, will be worse off, right? And this psychological comparison helped maintain the illusion of white economic superiority. But when black Americans remain composed and unshaken despite rising costs, it creates panic, because it suggests that white Americans may not be as economically or emotionally resilient as they believe. Black stability becomes a mirror exposing the fragility, revealing that those who were protected by generational advantages may now be struggling with more economic change. Also, part of this panic comes from realization that black Americans have built entire survival systems over generations. Community networks, mutual aid, side hustles, shared housing strategies, and spiritual coping tools that help them weather economic storms. White Americans, who often relied purely on institutional stability, corporate jobs, and government support, they now find themselves shaken by the same hardship black people have endured for decades. Seeing Black Americans unfazed, exposing the fact that white Americans lack the survival infrastructure and collective coping mechanisms that Black communities have refined under historical oppression. And that's how they've dealt with this. These all problems that you see, which are happening right now, right? And also another thing that you need to note is that this whole situation, it also highlights something. It highlights a deeper truth. And the deeper truth is that Black Americans have long understood the unreliability of American institutions, from healthcare to banking to employment. Because of this, they have developed a realistic mindset about economic instability. And this is contrary to white Americans, because many white Americans, on the other hand, they grew up believing that the system will always protect them. So when inflation and rising costs hit everyone, Black people simply activated their survival strategies. They already knew, while many white Americans panicked and realizing for the first time that the system does not guarantee their comfort or privilege. So you understand. And that's how difficult it has always been for white people. And when you try to compare it with Black people, you are gonna see a major, like, big difference. I mean, in regards to that, right? So, Black Americans, calmness also sends a political message that terrifies some white people. The myth of white stability is collapsing, and historically, white Americans were seen as the middle class part of the economy, and now millions of them are falling into the same financial stress Black people have experienced for generations. You see, when Black Americans when Black Americans remain steady, it suggests that American decline is hitting white communities harder than expected, and the reversal of vulnerability challenges the deeply ingrained racial narratives about who is strong, about who is weak, and who survives during economic turmoil. And all this depends on how you are prepared, like, mentally. And I think Black people, the society has never been fair for them, and so this somehow the disadvantaged advantage them, because it is because of the structural problems the United States is going through, all the biases that it has always had towards Black people has made them so much resilient. Something that I also wanted to address is that white panic also comes from the realization that Black Americans are no longer emotionally controlled by economic fear. Yes, if Black people refuse to panic, spiral, or break under rising costs, it becomes harder for political leaders, corporations, and media to manipulate them. Black composure disrupts systems that historically depended on Black economic, desperation to maintain low wages, to maintain cheap labor and social control. White Americans fear that if Black people stay calm and strategic, they may become the most politically stable and economically adaptable group in the country. That's Black people that they're referring to. One last thing that I would like to say in regards to this is that, you see, all this white panic stems from uncomfortable truths that Black Americans' lack of fear reflects an understanding that America's economic system is already broken. It exposes the fear. And this is seen because it has broken for them for centuries. White Americans experience this breakdown for the first time. They act as shocked, they act as confused and unprepared. Seeing Black people emotionally steady while the panic forces a painful realization. The people America marginalized the most are now the ones best equipped to survive the nation's decline. And the shift in resilience and vulnerability marks a profound psychological turning point that many white Americans are struggling to accept. So, brothers and sisters, please let me know in regards to what you think about this, because I think that these discussions are things that we need to talk about. They are so much important. And so we need to address them. We need to talk about them. They are really, really important. They form part and parcel of what makes the fabric of the United States be what it is today. And so I feel like there are social, political, economic issues that are affecting people of the United States, and we need to address them. So brothers and sisters, please let me know what you think about this video. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Tech Stories. But until then, let me see you on my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.